When you think of a legislature, you probably picture this grand building, right? A big chamber, lots of passionate debate, laws getting made. But what if I told you that in a lot of countries, it's mostly for show? Because behind these very similar-looking blueprints, there's a huge difference in who's actually calling the shots.
And that gets us to the big question we're tackling in this explainer. Beyond all the ceremony and the fancy speeches, what is the real job of a legislature? It turns out the answer tells you pretty much everything you need to know about where power truly lies in a country. So, to get to the bottom of it, we've broken this down into 5 parts. We're going to start with the textbook idea of a legislature, then we'll look at the basic blueprints. From there, we'll dive into the real power dynamics, compare 2 totally different examples, and then wrap it all up with why any of this really matters.
Okay, first things first. Let's just set the baseline. What is a legislature supposed to be? This is the version we all learned in school, the ideal role it's meant to play.
The classic definition is pretty simple, right? A legislature's job is to make laws, represent the people who voted for them, and keep an eye on the executive, the president or prime minister. It's supposed to be the people's voice inside the government. But, as we're going to see, that's often just the starting point. All right, now let's talk about the architecture. Just like looking at the blueprint for a house, the basic structure of a legislature can tell you a lot about what it was designed to do.
And the biggest design choice is whether you have one house or 2. A unicameral system, that's just a single legislative body. It can be faster, more efficient. A bicameral system, on the other hand, splits the legislature into 2 houses. That can create more checks and balances, but it can also really slow things down.
So when you map this out, a really interesting pattern starts to pop up. It's probably no surprise that the countries here with just one legislative house, China and Iran, are also regimes where power is really concentrated. Meanwhile, the places with 2 houses, like Mexico, Nigeria, Russia, and the UK, well, at least on paper, they're designed to spread that power out a bit and force some compromise.
But here's the thing. Does having 1 or 2 houses automatically tell you how powerful a legislature is? Nope, not even close. The blueprint doesn't tell the whole story. You have to ask a different question. Who's really pulling the strings here? And this is where it all becomes crystal clear. In more democratic systems, the checks on a legislature, things like an independent court or a presidential veto, are there to limit the power of the government as a whole. But in authoritarian systems, the constraints are all about keeping the regime in charge. Think about Iran's Guardian Council, which can just disqualify candidates it doesn't approve of, or China's Communist Party, which basically tells the legislature what laws to pass. You see, when a legislature is truly independent, it's a complete game changer. It can actually stand up to a powerful president or prime minister. It becomes a shield for people's rights and freedoms. It makes sure that the law applies to everybody, even the people in charge. That's how you get real transparency and accountability.
To really see what a difference this makes, let's just put 2 systems right next to each other, the United Kingdom's Parliament and China's National People's Congress. On the surface, they're both national legislatures, but in reality, they are worlds apart.
This chart just lays it all out. In the UK, the most powerful part, the House of Commons, is directly elected by the people. It's the engine of lawmaking. It can even fire the prime minister. It is a genuine arena for debate and power. Now, look at China. The delegates? They're picked by the Communist Party. Their job isn't to come up with new laws, it's to sign off on what the party leadership has already decided. The check on the executive is practically zero. Its whole purpose is to give a thumbs up to the party's decisions. Okay, so we've seen the ideal, the blueprint, and the messy reality. But you might be wondering, so what? Why does this difference between a powerful legislature and a rubber stamp one actually matter?
Well, here's the bottom line. Looking at a legislature is like running a diagnostic test on a country's whole political system. How much real power it has tells you if that country is more democratic or authoritarian. It shows you whether citizens have a real voice or just the illusion of one. It pulls back the curtain on where decisions are actually made, and it's one of the best ways to know if the rule of law is a real thing or just a nice idea.
And that leaves us with this final thought. In systems where the legislature's main job isn't actually making laws, then what is it for? Well, its purpose changes completely. It's not about representing the people anymore. It's about projecting an image of unity, of stability, of legitimacy. It becomes a performance of power, even if the real power is somewhere else entirely.